Every relationship, no matter how strong or loving, will encounter moments of disagreement. Arguments are not a sign of failure. In fact, they're a sign that two different people with unique perspectives are trying to make life work together. The real challenge isn't whether you argue, but how you argue. Conflict is unavoidable, but the way you handle it can either break your relationship apart or make it stronger than ever. Today, let's explore the art of managing conflict and how you can turn even the toughest fights into moments of honesty, growth, and deeper connection. Why is conflict unavoidable? It's simple. Any relationship, romantic, family, friends, even work relationships, brings together two individuals with distinct personalities, needs, backgrounds, and values. Imagine someone who loves everything neat and organized living with a partner who's totally comfortable with a bit of mess, or picture an early bird sharing a home with a night owl. These differences are natural, and they don't mean you're incompatible. In fact, it's exactly these differences that make relationships interesting and give us opportunities to learn and grow. Conflict isn't the real problem, it's how we handle conflict that determines whether a relationship thrives or struggles. Let's break it down with an everyday example. Maybe you're someone who likes to plan everything ahead, and your partner prefers to be spontaneous. You might get frustrated when they don't stick to the plan, and they might feel boxed in by your need for structure. It's easy to see how this could lead to arguments, but there's no need to fight about it. What matters is how you manage these differences and work together as a team. Unfortunately, many people handle conflict in ways that actually make things worse. Let's look at two common but unhelpful approaches: shutting down and blowing up. First, shutting down. Some people, when faced with conflict, retreat into silence. They clam up, hoping that if they don't engage, the problem will go away. But silence doesn't solve anything. In fact, it often makes things worse. Resentment builds quietly, and the emotional distance between you and your partner grows wider with each unresolved issue. You might be upset, but you say nothing, hoping to keep the peace. Over time, that unspoken frustration becomes a barrier to real intimacy and connection. On the other side of the spectrum, some people handle conflict by letting their emotions take over. Voices are raised, accusations are thrown, and the blame game begins. Think about a typical argument. One person says, "You always do this," and the other immediately goes on the defensive. Instead of listening, they feel attacked, and the conversation turns into a battle of who's right and who's wrong. No one feels heard, and nothing gets solved. Neither shutting down nor blowing up leads to real resolution. But there are healthier ways to handle conflict, ways that can actually strengthen your relationship rather than weaken it. One of the most powerful tools you can use is the I statement. Instead of pointing fingers and saying, "You're always late," or "You never listen to me," try expressing how you feel. Let's say your partner missed an important event. Instead of saying, "You never show up for me," you could say, "When you weren't there, I felt disappointed." This subtle shift changes everything. Suddenly, the conversation is about your feelings rather than your partner's faults. It opens the door for empathy and understanding rather than defensiveness and blame. Another key skill is practicing empathy. In the heat of an argument, it's easy to focus on proving your point and winning the fight. But if your only goal is to be right, you both lose. Instead, try to see things through your partner's eyes. Ask questions like, "I want to understand why this matters so much to you. Can you tell me?" This turns an argument into a conversation. Both sides feel heard, and solutions become possible. Sometimes, the best move isn't to finish the argument right away. It's to take a break and cool down. High emotions make it hard to listen and communicate clearly. If you find yourselves getting too tense, hit pause. Say something like, "We're too upset right now. Let's take a breather and talk about this later." This simple act can prevent words you'll regret and gives both of you time to reflect and return to the conversation with a clearer head. When handled well, conflict can actually be a force for growth in your relationship. Think about it. Every time you work through a disagreement, you learn more about each other. You discover each other's boundaries, values, and triggers. You learn how to communicate better and what it takes to make each other feel safe and supported. Instead of breaking you apart, arguments can bring you closer together if you use them as opportunities for understanding. Just because you argued doesn't mean your relationship is broken. If the argument ends with more understanding, if you both learned something new about each other and about yourselves, then it actually made you stronger. The key is to see conflict not as a threat, but as a chance to build trust, honesty, and connection. Let's look at a simple dialogue to see the difference between unhealthy and healthy conflict management. Here's the wrong way. Person A: you never listen to me. Person B: and you're always complaining. This exchange is full of blame and defensiveness. Neither person feels heard, and the argument just escalates. Now, let's try a healthier approach. Person A: when you don't listen, I feel unimportant. Person B: I'm sorry. I want you to know you matter to me. I'll be more mindful. Same situation, but a completely different outcome. Instead of blame, there's vulnerability. Instead of defensiveness, there's empathy. The conversation shifts from attack to connection. So, how do you put these tools of both into practice in your own life? Start with awareness. Notice your own patterns during conflict. Do you tend to shut down, avoiding the issue altogether? Or do you find yourself raising your voice and blaming the other person? Recognizing your habits is the first step to changing them. Next, experiment with I statements. The next time you feel frustrated, pause and think, how can I express my feelings without blaming? Share how you feel and why, rather than what the other person did wrong. For example, I feel overwhelmed when the house is messy is very different from, you never clean up after yourself. Practice empathy by listening with an open mind. Instead of planning your comeback, focus on understanding where the other person is coming from. You might be surprised by what you learn. Ask questions, show interest, and validate their feelings, even if you don't fully agree. Remember, empathy doesn't mean you have to give up your own needs. It means you value the other person's perspective as much as your own. Don't be afraid to take breaks. Conflict can get intense, especially when emotions run high. If you feel yourself getting overwhelmed, suggest a pause. Say, let's take a moment to cool off and come back to this when we're both ready. Far from avoiding the issue, this shows you care about resolving it in a healthy way. As you practice these skills, you'll notice something powerful. Conflict stops being something to fear. Instead, it becomes a tool for building trust, intimacy, and respect. You'll learn that arguments don't have to end in hurt feelings or distance. They can end with better understanding, forgiveness, and a stronger bond. Managing conflict is truly an art. It takes patience, self-awareness, and a willingness to grow. But the payoff is huge. Relationships that handle conflict well are more resilient, more honest, and more connected. Instead of shutting down or exploding, use I statements, show empathy, and take breaks when needed. These simple changes can turn even the toughest fights into opportunities for deeper connection. Remember, conflict isn't the enemy of a relationship. When managed well, it's an opportunity to grow stronger together. Every disagreement is a chance to learn something new about yourself and about the person you care about. It's a chance to practice honesty, vulnerability, and empathy. And it's a chance to build a relationship that can weather any storm. So, what can you do today to change the way you handle conflict? Start small. The next time you feel tension rising, take a deep breath. Pause before you react. Choose your words with care. Listen as much as you speak. And above all, remember that the goal isn't to win or lose. It's to understand and connect. If you found these ideas helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. In the next videos, I'll be sharing habits that strengthen trust, the biggest mistakes people make while flirting, and much more. Whether you're looking to improve your romantic relationships, your friendships, or your work life, these tools will help you build stronger, healthier connections with the people around you. Join me, and let's build healthier relationships together. Because everyone deserves a relationship where conflict is not something to fear, but something to embrace as a path to deeper understanding, love, and growth. Let's take a closer look at the real-life impact of managing conflict well. Imagine a couple who, for years, struggled with arguments about chores. One partner felt overwhelmed by the clutter, while the other felt criticized for not doing enough. For a long time, their fights ended in silence or shouting matches. But when they started using I statements and practicing empathy, things shifted. Instead of blaming, they began to share their feelings and listen to each other's needs. They discovered that the messy partner felt judged and pressured, while the organized partner felt unsupported and alone. Through honest conversation, they found ways to compromise, setting clear expectations and sharing the workload. The arguments didn't disappear, but they became opportunities to strengthen their partnership. The same principles apply in friendships and at work. Maybe you have a coworker who always interrupts you in meetings. Instead of snapping or shutting down, try saying, "When I'm interrupted, I feel like my ideas aren't valued." This opens the door for a respectful conversation. Or maybe a friend cancels plans at the last minute, leaving you disappointed. Rather than bottling it up, share your feelings. "I feel let down when plans change suddenly." You'll be amazed at how much understanding and connection can come from expressing yourself honestly. As you grow in your ability to manage conflict, you'll develop emotional resilience. You'll learn to handle tough conversations without losing your cool. You'll become more confident in your ability to navigate disagreements, and you'll inspire others to do the same. And you'll build relationships rooted in honesty, respect, and love. Of course, managing conflict takes practice. You won't get it perfect every time. There will be moments when emotions get the best of you or when old habits resurface. That's okay. What matters is that you keep trying, keep learning, and keep showing up for the people you care about. Here are a few practical tips to keep in mind as you work on your conflict management skills. First, check in with yourself before a difficult conversation. Ask, "What am I feeling right now?" Naming your emotions, whether it's anger, sadness, frustration, or fear, can help you avoid acting out of impulse. Try to approach the conversation with curiosity rather than judgment. Second, focus on the present issue. It's tempting to bring up past mistakes or unresolved grievances, but this only makes things more complicated. Stick to what's happening right now and avoid making sweeping statements like, "You always," or "You never." Third, remember that body language matters. During conflict, nonverbal cues like eye contact, posture, and tone of voice can speak louder than words. Stay open and relaxed and avoid crossing your arms or raising your voice. Fourth, be willing to apologize. Admitting when you're wrong or when you've hurt someone is a sign of strength, not weakness. A genuine apology can go a long way toward healing and rebuilding trust. Fifth, celebrate progress. Every time you handle a disagreement better than before, give yourself credit. Growth is a journey, and every step counts. Conflict can be uncomfortable, but it's also a doorway to deeper connection. When you approach disagreements with honesty, empathy, and patience, you create space for real understanding. You show the people in your life that you care enough to listen, to learn, and to grow together. So, next time you find yourself in an argument, remember, it's not about winning or losing. It's about turning fights into opportunities for connection, growth, and love. If you're ready to keep learning and growing, make sure to subscribe for more insights and practical tips on building strong, healthy relationships. Together, we can create a world where conflict isn't something to fear, but something to embrace. Thank you for joining me today. Let's keep turning fights into connection and build relationships that last a lifetime.